This conference will now be recorded.
All right, let's get into things. As always, everything we're talking about is for educational purposes only, nothing intended as any type of investment advice. So let's go over Facebook first. So yesterday we saw a bunch of aspirants that came in at 169. That was told us that we were going to end up coming back towards that 170. So yesterday at 169 was probably the first time that we saw any type of real ask prints that showed us where this thing had to keep going. A lot of what we saw going, it going up on was basically fumes. But coming into that 169, we knew we were going to get a little bit of a pullback. We were going to come back up, which is exactly what we saw. Now, 170 and 171, we have absolutely phenomenal ask prints that have came in both times. So the easiest trades in both of these, okay, well, the first one we had at 170. Okay, we came back up to 170.50, but we didn't quite make it there. Trigger back down, easy dollar trade. And then we just had the same exact thing come back in. As we pulled up, we had beautiful prints at 171, pulled all the way up to pretty much 170, 171.80. Another trigger down, and it's been the same exact thing. So I haven't gotten out of all of my position towards the short side yet. And the reason being is because as we were coming back towards this, towards our 170.50, I'm just not seeing much covering. There's definitely been overall some bigger buying. It's funny because of the whole Senate trial that's going on right now. We thought we weren't going to have much volume, but we basically have had better trades coming into the afternoon time than we have all week. So it's a little bit shocking, and to a certain extent, we were wrong thinking that we weren't going to get much, but we've had some really, really high probability trades come in. So let's talk about over the long term. Remember, I am not a long-term trader. This is my specialty. The two trades that I gave everybody about the trigger coming down from that 170.50, and then also once we came back up here towards that 171.80, that's what I look for. But overall, what I'm expecting, especially because of the amount of buying that we've seen coming into this thing, is going to be somewhere around this this gap fill that we have right there. So, and this is complete speculation. There's nothing that has told me that yet. There's nothing that tells us at 171 the stock's going to move another $40. But if you look at it, the low is 174.98, and that's where the gap would fill in. So 175 is going to be a very hard level for this thing to be able to break. And if we come back down here, remember, just because we're pulling up, there's a bunch of money that needs to be made still over around that 161.50 that we saw yesterday, 160.50 that we saw, even further back than that. So there's still a lot of room for us to be looking towards that downside, but based off of what it showed us today, it is not going to be in our not even our near future. I mean, it could hit 175 today and then be completely over, not get any new buying, and then start its way back down. But remember, those prints will be satisfied. It's just we're getting extended. And right now it's showing along. We're getting buying, and it's setting us up for some really great pullback short trades. And then overall, to the upside, the next time that we come back up to this 171.50, we are going to be looking, for a trigger back towards there. But I don't think it's quite done yet from that 170.50, and we'll see that as we come a little bit closer into the higher volume times, right around that 2 area. So let's talk about a few other things. ACHV. So this morning, I pretty much stopped looking at it after this first move, because when it gets stuck into these consolidations, there's just better things out there for me to pay attention to. I just don't care much about, what goes on. It goes on in there until it actually breaks out. The best trade that I actually saw was coming back up above this 450 right here. We just got that volume out of nowhere. Beautiful trigger that brought us all the way up above that 5. At that 5 level, we do have some decent buying. Nothing special, but there is decent buying there. So coming back down and seeing the selling at 5, it doesn't shock me whatsoever. I would expect it to pull back a little bit before we'd ever have a chance of it being able to break up above. But pretty much from what I'm seeing, I am going to keep it on our list for the afternoon. I just don't see too much there that I'm really that excited about. So we'll continue to watch it. Like I said, we do have the buying that's sitting there at that 5 level. The selling doesn't bother me ever. When we have a stock that's in an uptrend, selling does not bother me. It's just the new buying that comes in, and we definitely have a little bit of new buying there. Okay, IGC, this is another one. So IGC right now is definitely needs to pull back underneath this 4. As we were coming back towards that 4 level, we got a beautiful amount of prints that were executed there. It shot up a little bit, but that, it's going to be short-lived because we do have to pull back underneath where the buying at that 4 level came. But we know from a few days ago, or about a week ago, we also have a lot of buying already sitting there at that 4 level. So IGC overall, I'm not giving a price. These cheaper stocks, they have 15 minutes of fame a lot of the time. So I'm not giving a price target as in this is what's going to happen. But based off the prints, if we continue to get the interest level in here and we continue to keep the volume up, 5 is the number that we're going to be looking for. And then AMFN, AMRN. Coming back into here, we just got some really good prints that came in at that 1450. I mean, it wasn't the greatest of prints. Well, let me go back so we could show. So you can see these bursts of one for the 1450 that came back in are showing us that there's a little bit of selling coming in there, which we expect, and there's also a bunch of buying. Now, it still has never pulled back underneath that 1050, and we talked about this in Traders Exchange the other day, but no one would bet that in 2 weeks from now, we're still going to be looking to trade this stock. And the reason you wouldn't is because statistically speaking, it just does not happen very often. So what I'm looking for is I am looking for it to get up to that 15 level. But if we don't get buying at 15, we're going to end up seeing this thing pretty much be done. And we've seen it in these cheaper stocks over and over and over again. So without new buying coming up as we break past those 1450 prints, I don't think that it's going to be able to sustain itself. We are going to keep this on our list for the afternoon because we do have those prints at 1450, and as long as we keep the volume up, basically all we're going to be looking for is a trigger back up to get us towards that 15 level. And 15 is going to act a lot as a magnet, especially being a psychological level, the closer that we get. So a trigger back up, I have no problem taking it as long as we stay with this consistent volume. And that is pretty much it. Now, AMD has got hit on 32, 4 or 5 times today, from what I remember coming into there. So 32, I'm going to be expecting this thing to pull back, a little bit more than we actually saw it. It only came down about 25 cents. It's just confirming the fact that they're building a monster position in this. Okay, one day we're going to be sitting there and everyone's going to cash in on their long shares, their calls, whatever vehicle that you're using to trade it. But we're just continuously getting confirmation within this consolidation that shows up that this stock wants to go up. So we're going to watch that one pretty closely. And that's pretty much it. I mean, Apple's running a little bit, but I haven't seen too much in Apple that I really like. It's just a very consolidated looking trade today. So overall, it looks beautiful for the amount that it's moved. But at the same time, it hasn't even hit its range yet. And you can see volume will more than likely get up, very close to where that average is. So something to keep in mind. I personally haven't been trading it at all. I don't really know what the print story there is, but the puzzle looks pretty good. So we'll definitely keep our eyes on that. And other than that, guys, I think that's pretty much it. We've got a lot more volume than I would have expected today based off of, the situation that's going on. So if nothing else happens in the afternoon, there's a lot more that happened in the morning than I would have even thought of. Now, anything else out there that I missed? Yep, think that's going to be about it. Watching. Okay, well, SQ. See, SQ I feel is a little extended. Oops, wrong window. I do that every time. SQ is a little bit more extended than I would think that it should have went today based off of everything we see. Now, the volume's definitely going to be over average, so I have no problem with how much it's went. But the 98.50 point, when we came up there before, I was not happy, and it's not going to let me go back. I'm not happy with the amount of buying, and our afternoons have been so slow. SQ is certainly something to watch because the buying that we had come into it today certainly shows that it wants higher. PYPL is having kind of an opposite type of day, but it's on such low volume. And the difference between SQ and PYPL is SQ, you can build a position a lot faster as a market maker for a bigger position. And the problem with PYPL is it takes so long to actually build that position. Looks like the Facebook short is working out even better, as we talked about it breaking underneath that 170.50. But either way, Certainly something to keep your eye on. It's just going to need, some type of volume, volume increase for me to really see any type of, high. For it to get to $4, and another 15 cents up from those highs right there with 98.62, and get to basically 90, 98.75-ish right in that area. There's no reason it can't happen. I don't see a lot more. What I would really like is to see it come back down to this print line, because it gives us way more of a range, and we don't have to fight with the puzzle based off of what the average range is. All right, guys, so I will, let's get ready for the afternoon. It looks like we're still going to have a whole bunch of volume coming out there. So, you know what? I see some, a few more moves. Facebook did not pull back as much as I expected it to from the buying at 170. For this thing to continue back down before we see it go back up and satisfy those 171 prints, I, would not be shocked whatsoever. So Facebook's going to be my #1 focus, and then we're going to take pretty much everything from there. All right, guys, I'll see everyone in the chat room, and happy trading.